Hello everyone and welcome to Fight by Numbers, presented to you by UltimatePoker.com. The goal of this show is to take a look at some upcoming UFC events and talk about the fights from a statistical point of view. We're going to look at fights and break them down, not just what you see in the talk of this guy's got heart and this guy's got... No, that's not how we do it here. Let's look at some numbers, break down some statistics, and see if we can't data mine some interesting information out of these statistics. Today we're going to look at the double-header title fight at UFC169, fight in Newark, New Jersey between Renan Barão and Uriah Faber. Cannot wait for that fight. Really excited for it. Also, Jose Aldo fighting Ricardo Llamas in the co-main event, and Frank Mir, Alistair Overeem also on the card. Let's take a look at the main event of the evening. Renan Barão versus Uriah Faber for the bantamweight title. Renan Barão is an amazing fighter, incredible both on his feet and on the ground. He lost his very first fight in Pro MMA and then hasn't lost a fight since then. 32 fight unbeaten streak. Uriah Faber, the legendary California kid, he's on a 4-fight winning streak ever since his loss to, that's right, Renan Barão. Uriah's had some difficulty performing in title fights over the years. He's actually gone 0-5 in his last 5 title challenges while remaining undefeated lifetime in non-title fights. A crazy statistic and something very hard to do. Let's look at Uriah's stats in title fights versus non-title fights. You can see that Uriah's performed significantly better in non-title fights than he has in title fights. Look, he's landed almost twice the number of significant strikes per minute, almost 3 times, over 3 times the number of takedowns per 15 minutes. Uriah's had a lot of trouble against the top tier talent in the world, and unfortunately these statistics include a fight he had against Renan Barão in the past. When they fought the first time, Renan Barão outstruck Uriah and was able to stuff every single one of Uriah's takedowns, all 6 of them. Fights where Uriah isn't able to land a takedown, his opponents have outstruck him 206 to 132 in significant strikes. Here's Uriah's problem. Renan Barão is a beast. His takedown defense is ridiculous. Look at that. He holds the most impermeable taking defense in the entire bantamweight division. Absolutely crazy at 95%. And he's extremely likely to be able to stop Uriah's takedowns in this fight as well, because they just fought 18 months ago and he was extremely successful in doing so. Listen, I'll tell you one thing. Uriah is absolutely the best version of Uriah Faber that we've ever seen. With the addition of Dwayne Ludwig to Team Alpha Male, the team has absolutely improved. Their striking has been crisp and on point, and they have had the results to back that up. And I definitely think that Uriah is the most dangerous he's ever been on his feet. And maybe by doing that, he'll be able to land some more takedowns and all of that. But that being said, he's only had a month of notice to prepare for this fight. This was a pretty late replacement fight against a very, very tough opponent. And I just don't think he'll have enough time to really be able to figure out some way to take down Barão or to put together a game plan that can outstrike him, so my money's on Barão. Let's take a look at the co-main event of the evening, Jose Aldo versus Ricardo Llamas for the featherweight title. Jose Aldo is one of the most fearsome strikers in MMA today and is undefeated in his UFC and WEC career. Ricardo Llamas is a very strong fighter on a 4-match win streak with a well-rounded skill set, but the problem is Llamas is very, very likely to be forced into a stand-up fight here versus Aldo. Let's look at why I think so. Against opponents with at least 70% takedown defense, Llamas has only landed 3 of 13 takedowns, and that's having never fought a guy like Jose Aldo and never been on a stage like this fighting for a UFC title. Looking at the featherweight takedown defense graph, Jose Aldo possesses a crazy amount of takedown defense, scoring at 92%, the most in the featherweight weight class. I think it's going to be a very, very tough hill to climb for Ricardo Llamas if he's trying to take Jose to the ground. So this fight's most likely going to be a stand-up war, and Jose Aldo is one of the best in the business at that, literally. Aldo has the highest combined striking defense and takedown defense of any UFC champion. That's right, not John Jones, not Cain Velasquez, not Chris Weidman. Jose Aldo scores at #1 for the highest combined striking defense and takedown defense. Aldo wins so consistently because he's excellent at shutting down his opponent's offense. Now, some have pointed to cardio issues in the past. Aldo kind of slowed down against Mark Hominick and a couple other fights. He didn't look his best in the later rounds. And if you look round by round, the data does kind of support that. Aldo significantly outstrikes his opponents throughout the first 3 rounds, slows down in the 4th round, and in the 5th round, he's actually been outstruck lifetime by his opponents. But that being said, his effectiveness only drops in the 5th round, so you have to survive there to even see that, which is already kind of unlikely. And then even when you get there, it's not like he turns into a marshmallow at the 5th round. He's still going to be an incredibly tough person to finish, if you're not ahead on the judges' scorecards already, which I would not suspect that we're going to see happen too often. The markets are saying that Ricardo Llamas has about a 20% chance to win here, and honestly, I'm not even sure if it's that high. I think his best chance is to try to make it into deep water, hopefully connect a few times, maybe he has some things he hasn't shown so much yet, or he's been working on some things. I don't know, but everything that we've seen, all the information that we have available, makes me think that Jose Aldo is a significant favorite, and I find it very hard to imagine a scenario where Jose Aldo loses by either decision or KO or TKO, so my money's on Aldo for this one. Let's take a look at one last fight. Frank Mir versus Alistair Overeem, a classic match between a striker and a grappler. Frank Mir, a legendary jiu-jitsu wizard, and Alistair Overeem, a K1 champion. Overeem has been very difficult to take down over the course of his career, though, with an overall takedown defense rate of 77%. Since moving to heavyweight full-time, Overeem's only been taken down twice, by Fabricio Verdum in 2011 and Mark Hunt in 2008. That's pretty strong. Meanwhile, Mir has failed to land a takedown in 7 of his last 9 fights. Against both Josh Barnett and Daniel Cormier, Mir didn't even attempt a takedown. I believe Frank's going to have a very difficult time taking down Overeem, especially early in the fight. And as long as the fight remains standing, I don't think it'll be that competitive. If you look at the statistics, in his career, Overeem has landed 2.17 significant strikes for every one he's absorbed. So that means he's hitting his opponent more than twice in exchange for receiving 1 punch in return, on average. By contrast, Mir has only landed 0.6 significant strikes for every one absorbed. In his last 4 fights, Mir has absorbed a crazy 5.76 significant strikes per minute and lost twice by knockout. The biggest concern I have about Overeem is with his chin. After failing a drug test in 2012, Overeem is 0-2, both losses by knockout. He was knocked out in both fights despite having his opponents outstruck significantly 93-35. That's crazy. Overeem is also not really known for having good conditioning, as he was visibly exhausted against both Travis Brown and Antonio Silva, but Frank Mir is no Frankie Edgar either. In this particular matchup, I have a difficult time seeing Frank win, other by like some sort of quick KO or like a knockdown that leads into some sort of a submission. Overeem is just far better than Frank's standing, and his very tough takedown defense should make it hard for Mir to implement his game plan on the ground. I just don't think that Frank will have too many paths to win here, and in doing so is going to eat so many strikes that I think we're going to see an Alistair Overeem victory here, and I agree with the markets that Alistair should be a pretty heavy favorite to win this fight. So thanks so much for watching Fight by Numbers, our very first episode. I had a good time. Hopefully you did as well. My 3 picks to recap: Renan Barão, Jose Aldo, Alistair Overeem. I feel pretty good about those 3 guys. I like their chances. Don't forget to tune in to UFC 169, only on pay-per-view, Saturday, February 1st. It's going to be a great night happening in Newark. Beautiful Newark. Maybe cold, freezing Newark is the more appropriate adjective, but Newark for sure. Either way, you can follow us on Twitter at Ultimate Poker. Let us know if you enjoyed Fight by Numbers, and hey, if you did, that would be great. We can make this a thing. We can do this more often if you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. See you soon.